Intuitive dinners. Join me on a week's worth of dinners with my family. I will break down the science behind what the body really needs so it feels full and it gets nourished, it feels supported, and that's when the body can speak to you and guide you to what it's really needing. Let's first talk about the science. You need protein, things like chicken, pork, fish, beans, steak, nuts, lentils, carbs, breads, pastas, rices, grains, hummus, crackers, vegetables, think more toward the greens, asparagus, spinach, arugula, green beans, Brussels sprouts, and then maybe a little sweet component. It might be fruit, a little bit of wine, a little bit of dessert, and then cooking throughout your meals with fat. A lot of people forget to use enough fat, and then they wonder why they're hungry an hour later. So when you find the synergy of protein, carb, vegetable, cook with some fat, and then if your body's needing a little sweet, mix that in. You usually, with 3 well-balanced meals per day, find the sweet spot. Here's our first dinner. You will learn what works best for you. So these are all just suggestions of what I've learned over studying myself, trial and error, and really getting a wellness routine in place. This meal, I ate a little bit different than David. I wasn't as hungry, so I'll kind of talk through what I put on my plate. I have half a pita bread at the top of the plate, and I put some whipped cream cheese, Parmesan, garlic, and some fresh cilantro. I have my charred cauliflower and broccoli, and I also wanted a little wine. So I did something fun with my wine, which you'll see in just a minute. But again, my protein is more of a cheese base at this meal. My carb is the pita bread, and my vegetables, the cauliflower and broccoli. And then my little sweet component is fresh apple slices and a little Pinot Grigio. Sometimes I drink a full serving of wine, sometimes I drink half. It really just depends on what my body's needing. And here's the next dinner. David was the chef. It's a beautiful floured chicken breast, Brussels sprouts and onion, mushroom, pasta, and some red wine. David breaded the chicken breast, which I absolutely loved. I haven't had a lot of breaded chicken in my years prior to meeting David, but I find it very savory and filling, so much to where I don't need as much of the pasta. And the Brussels sprouts with onion, some good olive oil. I always feel most satisfied when I get some vegetables and at my dinner. Sometimes when I don't get vegetable, I feel still hungry after dinner. And this is Taco Tuesday night. We have a little bit of scotch on the side. And we use steak for the protein. We have some small street taco flour tortillas for the carb, some fresh microgreens, jalapeno, and I put cream cheese and onion for more of the fat component. And I believe David did more salsa. He's more of a red-based person. I'm more of a creamy-based person for my palate. And then we met out. We do a wine and dine Wednesday together. It's like our date night to break up the work week. So I wasn't super hungry, but I was craving clam, fish. So I started with this from the appetizer section of the menu. And it was actually really savory. Underneath was olive oil, a lot of herbs and salts. And that was all mainly protein and fat. So after I finished that, we had to dive into the bread and olive oil, and I had kind of a vodka, lemon, simple, refreshing drink to sip on the side. And Chef David made my favorite, which is a creamy pasta dish that we get sausage, so it's salty. The vegetable would be the bell pepper and onion, garlic. He uses some half and half, and you'd have to ask him for the recipe, but it's a creamy, fatty dressing, and the sausage adds some additional protein, and it's just so filling, well balanced, completely a Lindsay dish. And then on the side, I think I did more of an orange-based cocktail with Aperol, and the citrus and the orange balance the saltiness perfectly. And after dinner, about 10 minutes later, I didn't feel satisfied. I forgot to take a photo, so I have a placeholder of my favorite trip to Lisbon, Portugal instead. But I sliced myself some cheesecake, and then that hit the spot. And sometimes coming home from work, still have to walk the dog, I'm ready for dinner, and I want to have some adult time. So to have the energy to be my sultry self, my puppy mommy role, I need a handful of candy. So this night, I grabbed a couple handfuls of jelly beans just to get my blood sugar up to where it needed to be to hold me until we could put in a well-balanced meal for dinner. All right, I was in the mood for something fresh, so I chose nice heirloom salad, caprese, tomato, prosciutto, asparagus, and a little bread, and I sipped, I think, on an orange-based cocktail. If I were to just have the tomato and mozzarella with the asparagus and prosciutto, I would have still been hungry, so that bread was really important to have on the side. And this is David's spaghetti, my classic Italian man. And I always try some of David's wine, but I'm more of a cocktail girl. From time to time, I will have wine a lot at home with dinner, but more of a glass of Merlot or a glass of Pinot Grigio. So in summary, I wanted to thank you guys for joining me for a week of dinners with my family. It really is a beautiful thing when you finally get to the final phases of intuitive eating. It takes time to study the science, trust your body, put in well-balanced nutrition to where you can really listen to what your body's needing. But once you get there, it's one of the most amazing gifts that you can provide yourself.